Jetsons to August hotfix. Let's talk about this one and make it proper this time. So the first thing I noticed when I entered the game on my last profile was I couldn't kill a shit. But that's okay, because first thing you're gonna read about this hotfix in the patch notes is that they did make some adjustments to overall HP, and you might need to start over if you previously reached some ridiculously high difficulties. Now I wouldn't say Nightmare is ridiculously high difficulty compared to difficulty 11 from my very first profile, that is, where I still cannot kill shit either, but let's give it a shot. Now let me create a new player. Let's name him, yeah, that seems about right. Okay, create the ugliest ship ever, and I still cannot kill a shit. Now it's true that the first playthrough was easier before the update. Since then enemies seems to have been buffed a bit, but that only goes for the first playthrough. Higher difficulties are easier than they used to be. Now, I had some hard times finishing first two levels of the game now, and even though I upgraded all of my pea shooters after the Skyreach Alpha to the max and reran the City 17, which is the first level of the game, I didn't beat my score from the first run and didn't even feel more powerful, to be honest, so I cannot put my finger on it, but I'd say that repeated levels do have increased difficulty, so beating your last score right after you finish the level is pretty much impossible. You do need to wait to get some better gear to come back and clear it out properly. Now the second thing you're gonna notice is that the old shop is back, baby! Yay! Again, we have access to all the weaponry sold to the reach point in the game, meaning you no longer have a shop filled with duplicates of weapons you don't give a shit about, and also don't lose a chance to buy some old shit you needed for experimentations. This, however, doesn't mean you can buy multiple same items at once, as you could in Jetsons 1. Nope, sir. If you want to buy something twice, you still need to either restart the game or finish some mission. I noticed that repeating already done missions counts too. Now this is clearly a bug and needs to be fixed, so fix it, please. Now I said first two levels are pain in the ass, so what about the rest of them? Well, then the card turns, and what a turn it is! They mentioned adjusting power and prices of bombs in the game. I have to give them a thumb up for this. Bombs became really useful after this update, as they do a shitload of damage, and combined with mini-mines, they just simply wreak so much havoc down there that you don't even need to pay attention below, just focus on what's ahead of you in the sky and occasionally drop a whole load down there and collect stuff. Happy Christmas! Well, sure sucks down there. Even simple bomb like Baker is gonna do the trick. I prefer Cauldron though, as you have total of 6 bombs per load and it has some insane recharge time. You can drop all 6 of them at once, and before the mini-mines settle down to kill everything the bombs didn't, you have all 6 of them again. The highest damage bombs still seem to be the acid cloud though. With great power comes great wealth, I guess? Patch notes mention adjustments to score factors for the level. Now this is true, but you previously scored 90k for the level, you now score 900k. This doesn't have to be a bad thing, provided you have stuff to spend it on. Unfortunately, new devices and gems and stuff comes quite slowly in the game, so you end up having everything you need maxed out soon after Pirate base level, and from then on, you basically just pile the money so high it would make even Uncle Scrooge jealous. Remember how last time when you wanted to try something new, you had to sell all current guns, buy new ones, max them out, try them, figure out they suck, sell them, buy the old ones back and max them out again? Well, now you have such a huge cache that you can just keep everything you buy in the inventory. Yeah, that's about right. The inventory part of the shop screen finally becomes more alive. The cache gain for the levels is really way too high though, and I have no doubt it will be nerfed in the next update. I mean, look at me, I just finished half playthrough and I'm sitting on 4.5 mega and I just have inventory filled with stuff I didn't even bother downgrading. This is crazy! The inventory becomes quite a mess, as you can see, so what we could use in some of the next updates would be some auto-sort button. I'm happy to announce that Magnavolt is back in business. Vulcan may have more DPS, but it certainly doesn't keep up with the multiple target distraction capabilities of Magnavolt. No sir! After last update, I kinda struggled with using the blast projector and drones, as it seemed to lack some damage compared to harmonic amplifier, panic attack and hellfire generator combo. I was interested in how it would stand now after the hotfix, which brings us to the next item on the list, which is Zelda armor plus panic attack combo now works! Yay! I really thought they messed up the tooltip for the Zelda armor and are going to fix it to say below 30% of hit points, but nope, they met us halfway when they actually made Zelda armor automatically trigger panic attack immediately, as I mentioned last time would be brilliant. However, you cannot effectively have both Harmonic Amplifier with Panic Attack and Blast Projector combo at once. Blast Projector requires 3 slots to reach its core efficiency, which is the Blast Projector, the Gem Connector and Circulus, while the other one needs to occupy 4 more slots. 2 for the Harmonic Amplifier, as it probably won't work without Shield, even though you can have it without it, I'm pretty sure it won't work, and 2 for the Panic Attack and Zelda Armor. In case you wondered, if you really need the Zelda Armor with Panic Attack, you have basically 2 options. Either you pick Zelda Armor and Panic Attack, ensuring you have the effect on all the time, or you ditch Zelda Armor and damage yourself in the beginning of the level below 30 hit points. Now, I experimented with this approach last time and it didn't work due to power-ups homing onto your current position. I was mainly avoiding the big chunks of armor, and while it was quite possible to dodge the big ones, you will collect few of the small ones eventually. You'll suddenly wonder, why did my damage go? Oh, I don't have the Panic Attack on, why is that? Oh, I have 50 hit points, okay, let's bring it down a bit. Oh, here comes a missile, boom, mission failed. It always comes in the least convenient moment, trust me. In order to make this approach viable, they would have to implement an in-game option to turn this pickup assist off, but hey, maybe they will. Since they deny you an access to most useful technology early in the game, they also unintentionally made melee build quite viable. When you run out of things to buy or upgrade and unlock focus, buying that rammer and 50% more melee damage definitely makes the game more fun. It provides rather risky but very rewarding melee build that you can use to take down buildings, big ships, and also use it to block enemy projectiles. Missiles included, even without missile repelling gem. That's fun. Alright, now what else did the notes mention? Let's see, there's a new item, Hydra, presumably endgame kind of standard cannon replacing Hexagon, since its pattern was too weird, which I can definitely agree with. Well, look at you, aren't you a beauty? The power of this cannon makes Magnavolt look like a BB gun. Finally something worth Blast Projector build. Too bad you cannot have Panic Attack and Harmonic Amplifier at the same time, but this weapon is so strong that it doesn't actually matter. I tried the NR conversion, it was too messy to be honest, so I switched for auto-aim, but that wasn't hitting what I wanted, so I figured I'd pay a visit to an old friend, Aim Enhancer. It took a bit of time, but quite fast, got used to playing with the left hand and aiming with the right one. The result, as you can see, was more than worth it. I think there might be something wrong with the dynamo though. At some bosses I experienced, it constantly hit the boss after its demise. Even though I have to agree it did look pretty awesome, it also consumed a lot of FPS. It only happened after the boss's death, so no worries, it could be considered cheating. They fixed some co-op bug, well, don't know about that, I have no one to play co-op with. Some minor fixes to Kong 25 boss, yeah, that's the one, the second level, the pirate base. Yeah, he was kind of like super strong, but whatever. El Diablo cannot kill you. Well, didn't know that. It can, to be honest, but I don't know how to use this item. It just doesn't seem to be rewarding any playstyle so far. Now we'll see if there's any viable build for it in the future. Last but not least, some minor tweaks. Yeah, well, that pretty much sums it all up. So well, for the summary, I like what they did with bombs in this update. Definitely needed improvement. They fixed Chop and Zelda Armor with Panic Attack combos, so kudos for that. All the bosses are still, unfortunately, under construction. Well, the Hydra Cannon seems to be the best thing in the game so far. And now onto the list of things I think would make the game much more awesome. Let's see. Number 1. Asteroid Field needs asteroids that you could, chain light. Also, please make the boss asteroided. Make it so that as you damage him, he constantly loses debris that can hurt you. It would be nice to be your own biggest enemy in the boss fight, forcing you to manage your damage output in a careful way so you don't get overwhelmed by floating debris that is hard to break and would potentially result in mission failure. Number 2. Tooltips. The game could use more information on stuff. Now, a harmonic amplifier is still unclear in terms of percentage of damage increase. I can subjectively tell it's probably 50%, but I'd like to see some actual numbers to compare with Panic Attack. Also, a furniture, a gem which's purpose I still don't quite understand. It says it applies burning debuff for 5% of total DPS and that you have 3% chance to apply it. Is it 5% of DPS per tick or for the whole duration? How often does it tick? Does it stack? How long does it last? Does it apply to all chain lighted targets or does every chain lighted target has its own chance? Are we talking about the chance for the pellet or the whole shot? Now same goes for the acid effect here. What's with the fire rate of weapons anyway? What scale do they use? Is there a linear transfer function between it and real rate of fire in shots per second? If I knew all this information, I could determine if there's a reason for equipping furniture or not, but right now it seems redundant because, well, 3% is nothing. You see, if I knew that, for example, it's 3% for pellet, and that it ticks until the target dies every second, and I knew that the Magnavolt having fire rate, say 100, equals to roughly 3 shots per second, then Vulcan with fire rate of 400 is probably around 12 shots per second, and if there are 5 pellets in each shot, that means I have chance of applying the burning to my target 60% per second. Now that's something I can work with. 3%, I'm sorry, but I can't work with that. Number 3. With that being said, I think it's obvious what I'm gonna suggest next. We already mentioned burning and acid effect. We had electric chain lighting effect since the beginning of the early access. We have ice canisters providing additional cooling. This game just calls for elements. I'd love to see devs push this at least as far as Borderlands did. We could make acid corrosive elements that would have increased chance to apply acid to heavy machinery targets. I know that would probably be the majority of enemies, but hey. Fire could be better against fleshy targets, such as insectoids, with higher chance to set them on fire. Now, fleshy enemy under an effect of, say, 10 burning dots would explode upon death, setting nearby enemies on fire. You could overheat certain ships' weapon systems with fire weapons. You could even base a boss fight on that idea. Take inspiration in Horizon Zero Dawn. Electricity has chain light, but we could go a bit farther there. Let it have a chance on ground missions to create a lighting strike that chain lights everything on the ground if it hits certain amount of airborne targets. After all, you need grounded voltage in order to create lighting strike. Let certain enemies have shields that you can drain faster with electric weaponry, just as it was in Borderlands. We don't need slag element in Jets and Guns 2, but we could further work with the ice. Let's have ice weapons in the game that wouldn't deal much damage on their own but could freeze enemies in place or prevent rotary cannons from rotating, setting them in one place. Again, great bosses mechanics, freeze front cannons so you can get behind and drop some load on it. Frozen enemies could be more prone to shatter, meaning they would take greatly increased damage from bombs, for example. Just use your imagination, the game has a lot of potential there. Number 4. More enemies in Quantum Research Base, please! Right now the level is too easy and has very few enemies in the end. It could use like 50 times more enemies in the final sequence. Also, I would love to see the gravitational collapse affect your ship in some way. Take Team 17's Piranha for example. It could pull your ship towards its center. It could simply hamper your controls, making your ship just shaking. What would be by far the best is if it drawed you and your enemy's fire around the center of the gravity, so you'd have to count with it and make your shots curve to hit your enemy. Number 5. More stages at Gigantaria boss fight. Seriously, we only see Gigant's legs, and when we destroy them, its head falls off. It seems rather odd, doesn't it? I'd love to see another stage where you raise higher and fight its hands around the belt, for example. Then you'd move higher to its shoulders, fight defensive systems and arms, then the head, cannons from higher placed systems could even target you in the lower sections, provided you had some warning indicator on the upper edge of the screen, so you'd know what to prepare on. As you move higher in the fight, you'd strip the boss of these cannons. That's how I imagine this boss could go. Right now, it appears lazy, which is sad because I really like the level. It has closest to original 4 levels in the first version of Early Access, and those are by far the best in the game. Number 6. More tracks. Obviously, recycling 4 original tracks over 9 levels now seems like a drag. I think I'll speak for everyone here when I say we wanna hear more Machinae Supremacy. Now that's all for this update. I hope that take those suggestions into consideration, and I'll see you after next update.